Okay, Leo, this is your May astrology for all Leo signs, Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus. And there's a lot going on with communication, but I feel like the communication is with yourself. I was trying to see if Spirit was giving me. All right, what I'm getting is when I started meditating on Leo, I'm given a panda. And you're like, he's eating the leaves. And what came to me is try to stay spiritually high. You know, like they say pandas are stoned half the time because of what they eat. And it makes sense when I'm looking at the astrology. Because the way that it's in the stars right now, as long as you are staying on a higher dimensional level, spiritually high, then the negatives won't be able to reach you as much. Because there's a lot of communication going on, but it's very easily able to communicate, especially in the outer community, to you right now and trip you up. What I'm being given is like a major pain in the back of my neck. And for me, neck and head. For me, this is, you know, when we've allowed those negative influences kind of just seep into our head and stagnant negative energies that we have trouble getting rid of. But the panda is being given to me as in, if you stay above that vibration, then you're not going to diminish yourself. You're not going to lower your vibration and lower yourself. When I get into astrology, I can make a little bit better sense of this. But Spirit keeps saying it all has to do with your spiritual communication and what kind of vibration are you talking to yourself in versus what are you allowing within the outer community, because there's definitely shifts going on here. Another way of me putting it is, the way Spirit puts it to me a lot, is the idea of there's the kingdom, so to speak. There's the kingdom. So are you guarding the kingdom, or are you actually inside and being part of the kingdom? If you're guarding the kingdom, you're actually not taking place. You're keeping yourself from being able to rise because you're guarding the kingdom. But once you've entered the kingdom, you could still be the king of the castle. It's just coming from a higher vibration. That's the best way I know how to explain it. It is definitely going to be throat chakra, third eye, and crown. A lot going on with that. Whether it is opening them, unblocking them, or aligning them. And I am getting some solar plexus in there too. A lot of this month is going to have to do with the proper deliveries. So it may also be things that are coming in. Like if you purchased something, with so many of us been on quarantine and stuff, it may be, you know, deliveries that are coming. But I feel like since it's more communication, what I'm really being told is the delivery system of how you're communicating the deliveries and how and what are you investing in. And when I say investing, I mean, what are you putting honor into? What are you giving time to? Sorry, try to keep my cat from jumping up here and knocking over my drink. What do you invest in life? Is it your, I mean, if you're not investing in yourself, What are you investing in? That's the question. Excuse me, little dude. You cannot keep getting up here and knocking mommy's drink down. Too bad. All right. And the reason I was saying all of that as I get into astrology is because Spirit is reminding me of Chiron and Lilith. Not Lilith, Chiron and Libra are in opposition. And apparently it's very much hitting you, or Leos, because it's the first time Spirit has brought it up during any of these readings. But before I get into the astrology the rest of the way, if you have been following me for a while, or not, I'm starting to make my first spiritual healthcare line, and it's first coming out with essential oils. And the reason I'm telling you right now is because the first line I'm creating was created completely off of astrology and how I view it, and how Spirit and I made it into a healthcare line, and how it will actually bring healing to you. It all has to do with how I individually see each planet, and the Spirit helped me design the oils so that it can actually be of help. I'm telling you that because in the future I'm going to have spray mists, milk salt baths, and other lines that are coming out. But I will be dropping just the essential oils sometime within this month, and they'll be coming out soon. So you may want to keep an eye on social media for them. You may want to keep an eye in general, or just look up ladystarsandfire.com, because you'll be able to find them there too. With that being said, let me jump back into what's being told to me. First off, I'm telling everybody from the 7th through the 11th, Mars and Ceres are starting to conjunct. Now, they're going to more or less be in conjunction all month, but they're starting to conjunct. Spirit has put it to me as in from the 7th through the 11th, you'll start to feel that energy. But on the 20th through the 27th, they're within 1 degree of each other that whole time. So it is definitely at most powerful state during the 20th through the 27th. Now, Mars is your passion, your action, your aggression, your inner warrior, your inner SWAT team. But it's also your inner belly dancer, your sacral chakra, mixed with a little bit of that solar plexus. So it's where and how do you feel about yourself? Are you confident? Or do you feel secure? And are you taking it from starting to believe to I am? But see, that energy is in, not opposition, it's in conjunct with Ceres. Ceres is the threefold. Ceres is karma. And it speaks to you about what you nurture or what you neglect. Now, this is your 9th house. No, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's your 8th house. And this is speaking to you about the relationships in your life. And the responsibilities within these relationships. What are the rules to the relationships? What is the foundation of the relationship? And is it fair? Is it balanced? Is it just? Mars, your inner warrior, your inner SWAT team, your confidence, your security, and being choked up. So there's things that you want to say that you're having a problem saying and frustrated with. Mars, inner warrior, inner sexuality, inner belly dancer, inner confidence, fire, aggression, action. With Ceres, the threefold, karma, rules, walls, boundaries within the relationship. Are these boundaries set in healthy ways? Because you're asking karma right now. You're basically, karma is coming in going, have you learned these lessons? It's time to shift them. Of these relationships, are they joint effort, joint resources, joint finances? Are they balanced? Are they just? Is the foundation of the relationship fair? And if not, Ceres is promising you, she's starting a new threefold. Ceres is promising you that if you are not nurturing yourself within these relationships and then being cooperative within the relationships, that the relationships will come back showing you the neglect of what you've not been putting out. But we're talking about it also being the 8th house, which is those rules of those relationships, is the ability to transform, shift, and change. But it's Pisces energy. Pisces is where fantasy smacks you in the face with harsh reality, where you want to believe in the good, but you find out it's not what you hoped that it would be. There are lessons you've learned. People have shown their true colors. Are you going to shift these boundaries and shift the foundation like so? Or Pisces energy, very easily taken advantage of because of the compassionate energy. Will you allow it to continue to go unnurtured? This energy may hit below the belt. Ceres is very good at hitting below the belt and hitting in the gut. Mars is all about taking action. So this should be a very positive thing, but it may be showing you where things feel unpositive, very negative, because they're forcing you to see the changes you need to make within these relationships. Now, remember, relationships are not just your spouse. They're with your family, they're with your loved ones, your spouses, your children, your parents, your friends, your working environment. So, on all levels of relationships, it's evaluating, are these fair, balanced, full of justice? Are they deceiving? And then will you continue to allow yourself to be deceived if you have been? Because it's time to step into the magic of a new world that's helping to secure you by realizing where not insecurities were, but where you've accidentally set up poor boundaries. And because of that, it's working against you. Now, I wanted to explain that part because Libra on a universal level is the 7th house, which means these are relationships you have with the outer community. But the communication itself for you, which is Libra, is in the 3rd house. So this is communication you're having with yourself, but you're being taught it through the outer world, like in a mirroring situation of these relationships. Now, Spirit was reminding me Libra is an opposition of Chiron. That's your 9th house. This is your higher self. But your higher self has Chiron in it, in Aries. It's a brand new beginning, a brand new cycle. Getting rid of, shutting the dead. Releasing what no longer serves you. On a spiritual, authentic, soulful, source connection and liberation. Chiron is telling you where you haven't tapped into you. Where you haven't been true to your spiritual truth, your soulful truth. And where do you need to place ethics and morals in this? Where do you need to place that higher soulful energy? Lilith is traveling with Chiron. Lilith is a good ally in this area because she's reminding you, if you're not connecting with your soul fire, then what are you connecting with? If you're not connecting with, if you're not controlling, is what they just said, if you're not controlling your true authenticity and connecting with that fire of it, then you're not in it. This is part of what I'm talking about when Spirit was giving me in the beginning. There's a difference between guarding the kingdom and being in it. This is tapping into those parts of yourself and your psychic energy that you may fear, but it will bring forth a brand new healthy beginning. But you're going to have to tap into that. It's directly across from communication, which could be with siblings and neighbors. But since I feel like Spirit is giving me its delivery and its communication, I feel like this is the communication you're having with yourself, and you're learning where you're not truthfully being authentic with yourself from the mirroring aspect of these communications that you have with the outer community. But the communication is with yourself, and I'm telling you, it all bounces back to those rules, walls, and boundaries in relationships with the people of your life and the outer community. Finding the true self-realization of who you are. Go deeper. There's so much more to you than you realize. But if you don't have the courage to go deeper, then those negative qualities are going to be coming into the back of the head like stagnant energy talking shit to you. And this is why I'm being given the panda, telling you, keep yourself on a spiritual high. Keep yourself as high dimensional as you can, higher vibrational as you can, because this allows you to believe in yourself and experience your truth without worrying about what the others may think and bring you back down. But there's definitely something here that needs to shift. But I feel like it's about it's about a liberation, but not the way you may think of it. I don't feel like this is 3-dimensional at all. I feel like this is all 5-dimensional. All soulfully, spiritually coming into liberation and where it's going, which will lead back to 3-dimensional. But I feel like if you're looking at it from a 3-dimensional, idea, you'll miss the point. Now here's the other part. Your communication, like I said, which is directly across from the higher self, is Libra. You want so much to be fair and honest and just in that communication. But the collective consciousness is here. So is the level of the lotus flower. The lotus flower did not become the most spiritually evolved, beautiful flower just because it was. It's on a spiritual idea. It's viewed that way because of the mud it grows out of, the swamp it grows out of. So this is learning how to communicate. You also have Juno, which is in retrograde until the 27th in your communication zone, which means you're wanting to word vomit the shit out of it. It may not be the best thing, because until the 27th, sacrifice and commitment is in your communication house. You want so much for it to be fair, balanced, and just, but Libra energy is so often putting energy into everybody else, but not itself. And this is telling you where you need to be putting that communication into your own self-realization. But I feel like it's coming directly in mirroring. Now, your 6th house has Pluto, which is already in retrograde. And Jupiter goes in retrograde on the 14th. The 6th house is the rules, the walls. Not the rules, the walls, sorry. The 6th house is the daily routines. The people, places, and energies. People, places, and things and energies that you consume. Pluto is the only planet when it goes retrograde that doesn't turn inward, because it's always inward. It starts kicking your ass, going, I ain't having this shit anymore. It's time to freaking change. Jupiter is not in its most powerful place, but Jupiter is always a power to reckon with. With Jupiter, with Pluto, they're both going in retrograde, turning internally on you. Not turning on you, but turning into you. Really asking you about these routines. These daily routines that you keep. Are they healthy? Do they support your health care? Do they support your diet? Do they support your daily activity? People, places, and things of energies that you consume are what become you. Pluto is saying, this is what's standing in my way of me being me. Because of these things and these routines that aren't serving me. Jupiter is going to be pointing it out up until the 14th when it goes retrograde, because Jupiter is in shadow. So Jupiter is bringing the higher knowledge and the abundance and the manifestation to the routines that are not healthy to you, so that it can help you gain the wisdom of what you need to work on while it's in retrograde. In Capricorn, this is saying you very much want to be platformed in what your routines are. Well, your routines, people, places, things, energies that you consume are also your relationships. It's asking you if you have the right people in them, if you're taking part and investing into the right things that are healthy for you, by showing you up until the 14th what's not, so you can start working on it as it moves forward. Now, the 7th house for you is asking you to try new things, because this is Aquarius. And until Saturn moves back into Capricorn of those routines, it's in your 7th house, saying get out and try something new. Saturn typically is those rules, walls, and boundaries. It's very restricted in its energy, but in Aquarius, it's kind of like the opposite of its normal self. And Aquarius is wanting to try something new. Aquarius energy will like take on City Hall all by itself. Aquarius energy, is the rebel within. So the rebel is willing to try new restrictions, new foundations, new walls, new boundaries. And it's a perfect time for you to be setting new foundations, but trying it with new people as well. And just because we've been in quarantine does not mean that you can't get out and still do things. It just means you have to try them in different ways. It's not saying that you can't meet people. Try new things. Aquarius is in the partner zone, marriage zone, the contract zone, business zone. Anything you have a relationship with, you care about, you have a relationship with. Whether it's work, children, parents, career, relationships with your family, your spouse. This is asking you to shift, change, and it feels like it's willing to try. But you also have Pallas, which is in Aquarius, and it will retrograde on the 18th. Pallas is Athena, the warrior goddess, backing up Saturn. Saturn, like I said, until the 11th is still in shadow. But after the 11th, it's in retrograde. So he's telling you things that you could try. He's also showing you what you've tried that really hasn't worked, at least up until 11th. Then he's going to get a ballsier and want to try new things. Pallas is helping you wire the brain to know what to do about it and how to make it work. We already talked about the 8th house and the 9th house. So this takes us all the way full circle to the 10th house. Now this is where the sun is for you. Up until... Okay, I'll go back to the full moon in a minute. Spirit. But the sun is in Taurus until the 20th. when it moves into Gemini. The 10th house is your community itself, your larger groups, your friends. But it's got right now the sun in it, illuminating these friends, these communities, these memberships. It's also illuminating where in these relationships with this community or friends you're either insecure or you're coming into your securities of your self-worth, your self-value, your self-esteem, your individuality, your uniqueness, and your inventive and creative nature. This is also where dreams, goals, ambitions take place. And it's asking you, are you stepping into you? Your true realization and value of you. And do these communities and friends back that up? Because if they back that up, they're helping you to grow so that you can achieve these goals, dreams, and ambitions. If not, it's going to become very insecure energy and very possessive energy. But it's being illuminated until the 20th. Now let me jump back because Spirit was just telling me I needed to go to Scorpio. That's your 4th house. Your full moon is taking place on the 7th in Scorpio. Your 4th house is tapping into your inner emotional securities. That's what I was just saying. It's funny how Spirit does that. I've been saying this a lot on each one, and I know exactly why they brought me here. The full moon is reminding you about your inner emotional securities, the roots of who and what you are, where you came from, and where you will return. It is family. But most importantly, it's the vessel, the inner child, the inner truth, the inner foundation of you. If this isn't in its spiritual, emotional security, then neither is this. 3-dimensional or higher. And that question is going to be coming up for you at the full moon in Scorpio of that 4th house. Could tap into the home. It could tap into the child, your inner child or children. It could be tapping into family responsibilities. But it's coming all the way directly down to the inner emotional security of the vessel, the soul that you are, versus the 3-dimensional. And that's happening on the 7th in Scorpio. Again, Scorpio is incredibly sensitive. With the moon here, even more. It's all about sexuality, which in your case could also be, your inner Mars, your inner sacral chakra and solar plexus activating, strengthening. It could be about sexuality. It is the home. But so it could be, with the husband, the partner. But it's also when the moon is in Scorpio is when we're the most emotional detectives. And we can research. We can turn something that's simple into so much more dramatic energy than it really is. And it's saying in the inner emotional security of the home is where you're going to be acknowledging it and those relationships, as well as the relationship with yourself as if it's 3-dimensional or higher. And where are you allowing that to take you along with your own high vibration? Are you allowing your vibration to lower to a materialistic level, to a lower vibration, to a 3D vibration, or are you pulling yourself back up? And it's going to be bringing this to your attention around the 7th at that full moon. Now, your 11th house is where you have Venus going retrograde, where you're going to have the new moon on the 22nd. You have Vista here, and the North Node is coming into here. No, that's your 11th house. Sorry. Which is that community. I'm sorry. Taurus energy was actually your honor, reputation, prestige. But they're still going to coincide. This is asking you about what you value, about what you honor, what your reputation is, versus the way people are viewing you, your friends, the communication that you're putting out, as well as, like I said, Venus is all about value. Are you being valued? Because it's time to acknowledge where it's right from where it's wrong, where it's serving you from where it doesn't. Because on the new moon, it's giving you a new opportunity in Gemini to be curious and transform. But only if you're seeing through the lines. I love you guys. Bye.